Hello, everybody. My name is Connor, and welcome to Healing from Irishness. This is a podcast which I guess is attempting to liberate Irish people, people of Irish descent, people who have been painted by the brush of Irishness, to liberate them from all of the blockages and limits and conditioning that is no longer useful for their growth. This is something that I have become very aware of in my life and very much aware of in the lives of others. I spend most of my days listening to Irish people. It's my job. I suppose you could call me a coach, but I don't have any qualifications really. What I do have is just an ability to listen, and I suppose I listen well. And through listening, I guess I see patterns, I see loops, I see repeats, I see echoes of Irish people in different Irish people. You know, we all carry similar traits, similar behaviors. These things aren't unique to us, but they are specific to us. Ways of being, ways of seeing, ways of dreaming. And these things together combine to just form this sort of foggy notion of what you could just call Irishness. So that's what this podcast is all about. It's about helping people see what is Irishness and then how to liberate from it. I'm not saying that being Irish is bad or being Irish is all negative, by no means. But there are things, there are limits to your happiness, there are caps on your joy. And those limits and those caps, you're taking them personally. You're believing, I can't do this because I'm this way. I can't receive love because I'm unlovable. I can't achieve this because I'm talentless. I have no gifts. And I'm here to say that that is not true. You're lovable. You have many gifts, many talents. You're an empathetic, beautiful ball of gaseous energy floating through time and space. And you can be liberated from all the negative views and false perceptions that you have. But who am I to say these things? And maybe I should introduce myself. I suppose I got most of my training pulling pints. I think the one job that I have done most consistently throughout my life has been as a bartender. And I think that's where I learned, first off, just how to listen to people. So much of being a bartender is about being a listener. Yeah, you listen to orders, but then there's always the wee chats. Sometimes I noticed when I was a bartender that, I was often someone's only friend, or some people would kind of consider me their friend and I just would consider them a customer. I didn't recognize the bond that they had or the need that they had for my company. And so, working in clubs and bars across Ireland and even in New York and places like that, I'd recognize that there was so much emotion, so much blocked emotion stored in Irish people, and it would emerge and spill out on bartenders. And I think with my bartending work, I then sort of moved into journalism. And with journalism again, I just listened to a lot of people. I wrote and listened and told people stories, and I began to understand people, began to decode what people were saying. And when the arse fell out of journalism, I began to teach meditation. And meditation was a tool that I had developed and had explored and studied for a few years as a way of helping me with all my anxiety and my depression. But then around COVID, when everyone was kind of riddled with anxiety and depression, I got asked more and more. People would sort of come to me and say, what is it that you have? What is it that you do? And I began to teach meditation. But what I noticed when I would teach meditation is that often the most interesting part of the meditation session was when I would bring someone, guide someone, and lead them out of the meditation. And in that kind of post-meditation blissful glow, I turn to them and say, what are you really feeling right now? And in that moment, they'd share things with me. And that was always probably the most powerful moment of the session. And so that's my work now. That's what I do. I have conversations most days of the week, primarily with Irish people. I tried to spread my blanket out far and wide. I wanted to have an international audience. And I do have people who come to talk to me from other places, but the vast majority of the people I work with are Irish, or their parents were Irish, or their grandparents were Irish, or they were in a relationship with an Irish person and somehow felt bound by the trauma of Irishness. I've also had people come to me who have no Irish in them at all, but somehow felt aligned with the feelings of Ireland. And so that's what I do. And so my attempt at this podcast is to just share a little bit of what comes up, share some of the patterning and behaviors that I notice in Irish people. And hopefully you can get something from this. Hopefully you'll get a little sense that maybe I'm not alone. You know, the worst thing about our negative feelings is that they render us isolated. We become so alone in our sadness and our shame and our grief. We become so separated from everyone else. Yet, you know, these big feelings, these big negative feelings, are invitations for us to connect with others. So this is my little invitation to you. If you're listening to this and you recognize some of the things that I'm talking about, then know that you're part of a collective. You're part of a group who are united in their feelings, united in their trauma. And by expressing these things and sharing them together, we've managed to just sort of eviscerate a lot of the limits and trauma. You know, really the interesting thing about trauma is that all it really needs is to be heard. All it really needs is to be seen. It doesn't need to be fixed. It just needs to be watched and observed with love and no judgment. So, to throw my own hat into the ring, I thought maybe I'd begin by just mentioning a little bit of my own shame and the reason why it's taken me so long to make this podcast. You see, I had this idea for this podcast. I've had it for a few years now, but I just never came around to making it. And the reason I didn't come around to making it was because I have always had doubts about my Irishness. I think I never felt really Irish. And that's because of my background. So my mother is from Athy, and my father grew up in the working class Protestant stronghold of Ballymena. So as a kid growing up, I spent all my holidays in the north and spent all my holidays surrounded by my little unionist cousins. And they would teach me songs about Billy, and they would teach me songs about the Battle of the Boyne. And if I ever spoke to them about Gaelic games, they'd say, no, play cricket with us. That's a real sport. And then when I'd come down south again, where I grew up most of the time, all my friends would be in Young IRA, and we'd be singing Fenian songs in the changing rooms, and I would join in there. And in both sides of the border, I would do this kind of switch and become wherever I ended up. I had a safety strategy that I would just merge with whichever national myth was being displayed at the time. So in the South, I was as Republican and pro-Gaelic football as all my little buddies. But when I went over the North, you know, I was a little Jaffa bastard singing about hatchets and hammers too. So with all that, I felt a huge amount of identity conflict and shame. But what I've begun to understand as I explore this and as I talk through it and as I express it now to all of you listeners is that actually, at a genetic level, what I represent is a united Ireland. I have both parts of this island, both dominant groups of this island are in me. I carry their history, I carry their trauma, and I carry their national myths, and I carry their dreams of freedom. My great granddad from Athy wanted to be just as free as my great granddad from Belfast. And so this is the podcast. This is what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be talking about freedom. I'm going to be talking about liberation. And I'm going to be talking about the trauma, the specific trauma and the patterns and behaviors that go into making Irishness. You know, the ultimate reality of who we are is that we're just gas. You know, at a cellular level, when you meditate deeply, you realize that your identity disappears. Your identity is non-abiding. It doesn't stay. It's a flowing dance of expression and assumption. I feel the dance of Irish people has become stuck. And this is why the current reality for so many Irish people, especially younger generations, is one of just despair and inequality. There are some terrible things in Irish society, unfair things. We're not very caring of our younger generations. We don't love our children. We don't set them up to succeed. And so what I'm hoping to do with this podcast is to just reintroduce us to how it might be to be a people connected to each other and to ourselves through our hearts. We've been taught for so many years that there's something wrong with us. If you're listening right now, you know that. You know that when you go out in public and when you express yourself or when you put something on social media or when you talk to people, prospective partners, friends, schoolmates, family, there's that little biting, snarky voice inside of you that says there's something wrong with you, shut up. That's your Irishness. It's what keeps us all in a mean, vicious circle of competitiveness. We could be a family. We have all the potential to love each other and support each other. There are many, many beautiful things happening with Irish people today. There is a type of waking up to Irishness. Healing from Irishness, my podcast, is just another little piece in that waking up process. So stay tuned, and there's more to come. And just to let you know, I'm not really connected to linear time as such. I'm not really such a big fan of routine. So if you're looking for a podcast that will bring a sense of structure and regularity and security into your quotidian existence, then it won't be this one. The episodes might be short. They might be very long. They might be frequent. They might be irregular. It's just my nature. But I can assure you this. Every one of them will be as authentic and real as I can make it. And they'll all be made with love. So thank you for listening. My name is Conor Crichton. Loads of love, or grow more, as we say nowadays. Grow more. Bye-bye.